Greetings, Earthlings! It's been a while since I've done any of these, and I wanted to jump back in and kind of make them a little more creative. So, let's jump into this again with 10 commanders that turn Uncle Ben into a martyr. First, we got the boy himself, Peter Parker. Yes, everyone's favorite sad sack with more trauma than superpowers. Peter is basically the universe's punching bag wrapped in spandex. Every story is just him losing his job, his girl, his self-respect, but hey, at least the rent's still due. And if Peter's your commander, congrats, you're playing a deck that peaks at mildly inconvenient to villains and bottoms out at permanently unemployed. If you play that commander, I hope every time you sit down the chair squeaks just enough to sound suspicious. Next we got something of a scientist himself, Norman Osborn. The Green Goblin, a man who looks like he was sculpted entirely out of expired Play-Doh. Norman Osborn is what happens when midlife crisis meets pumpkin spice obsession. He's less a criminal mastermind and more the PTA dad who finally snapped when Starbucks discontinued his seasonal latte. Playing him as a commander is basically saying, I want my board state to explode as inconsistently as my hairline. And if you play this as your commander, I hope your phone screen always has one fingerprint smudge that you can never wipe away. Next we got Cosmic Spider-Man. Oh look! Peter finally got a cosmic upgrade and somehow he's still boring. Cosmic Spider-Man sounds cool until you realize it's just Peter with a light show. Like a cover band trying to distract you with lasers or like just Peter Parker at a rave. But he has the powers of the universe and still can't pay rent on time. Imagine wielding infinite cosmic energy and still losing to a guy with robot arms. That's Cosmic Spider-Man, all shine, no substance. And if you play this as your commander, I hope your shoelace tips fray so badly that they never fit through the eyelets again. Next we got old Robo-Dick himself, Dr. Octopus Master Planner. Now Master Planner is a bold claim for someone who loses every single time to a guy whose strategy is swing in and make quips. Doc Ock is basically the human equivalent of tangled headphones. Annoying, outdated, and instantly defeated by anyone with basic patience. He's not a genius mastermind, he's just a grumpy librarian with extra limbs, and even those keep failing at their jobs. If you play this as your commander, I hope you only lose one AirPod. Up next we got one that I'm excited about, but will still take a jab at, Carnage Crimson Chaos. When even the Woody Harrelson character can't sell you on it, you know there's a problem. Carnage is like if a Hot Topic clearance rack got sentient and went on a murder spree. Crimson Chaos sounds intense, but really he's just Venom's messier, needier cousin, who screams a lot and accomplishes nothing. Playing Carnage is less about winning and more about telling the table, I peaked in middle school and never emotionally recovered. He's not chaos, he's just noise. And if you play this as your commander, I hope your glasses fog up every time you walk indoors. Up next we got what'll probably become the new CEDH staple, Spider-Punk. Now congratulations, you found the only version of Spider-Man that's somehow more insufferable than Peter himself. Spider-Punk is basically Hot Topic Spider-Man, except with less credibility. He's like someone glued a mohawk to responsibility and called it rebellion. Playing Spider-Punk is basically saying, I'm here to annoy everyone with power chords and zero impact. He's not punk rock, he's a garage band that never got invited to Warped Tour. And if you play this as your commander, I hope every time you get comfortable in bed, you realize you forgot to turn off something in the other room. Up next we got the meathead himself, Eddie Brock, and the original Venom host. Eddie Brock is the poster child for angry gym bro who peaked in high school. He's constantly flipping between anti-hero and villain like he can't commit to leg day. Eddie Brock is less terrifying than the idea of sharing a locker room with him. Playing him is like building a deck around protein shakes and unresolved daddy issues. He's not symbiotic, he's just the unfortunate reality of Tom Hardy. And if you play this as your commander, I hope your grocery bag always tears one step before you reach your door. Next we got a new mono blue piece of crap Hydro Man Fluid Felon. Now this is what happens when your villain gimmick is literally just water. It's basically dance, water, dance. And if you get that reference, God, you're old. He's the Aquafina of bad guys. Bland, unnecessary, and forgotten 5 seconds later, and he probably tastes like crap. Fluid Felon is supposed to sound scary, but it really just makes him sound like a plumbing issue. Hydro Man is less a threat and more of a reminder that sometimes Spider-Man comics were written 5 minutes before deadline. Kinda like March of the Machine Aftermath. If you play this as your commander, I hope your streaming password resets itself every time you try to log in. Next, we've got Spider-Man 2099. Now this is proof that slapping a futuristic on something doesn't make it cool. You might as well call him Awesomeo 5000. He's like Diet Spider-Man but with LEDs and shoulder pads. so Spider-Man from the 80s, ironically enough. Every story with him feels like it's desperately yelling, "Look, the future!" Like we rewrote the Jetsons, while quietly whispering, "We have no new ideas." Playing him as a commander is basically committing to 90s comic book aesthetic, all flash and no follow-through. And if you play this as your commander, I hope you bite into a popcorn kernel. And then finally, for this return, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing this right, and I don't care, we've got SPDR piloted by Penny. Yes, the mech anime knockoff that nobody asked for. SPDR is like if Pacific Rim and Spider-Man had a crossover fanfic written by a middle schooler during math class. It's supposed to be edgy and innovative, but it's really just a child in a toy commercial shouting, "Look, giant robot!" Playing SPDR as your commander is basically telling the table you couldn't decide between Gundam and Marvel, so you settled for disappointment. And if you play this as your commander, I hope your microwave leaves the middle of your food ice cold no matter how long you heat it. Alright, well, if you like this list, let me know. You absolutely should definitely wrap the like and tap that subscribe on this one, because I don't know if I'm going to be going back to doing these. I wanted to come back and make them a bit more creative and have fun with them again, so let me know what you think. But above all, make sure you peep the Patreon, join the Discord, and crank the music loud enough to upset your neighbors. Peace.